I, William Wyatt of Salem, coaster, testify and say that last Monday evening, being the 5th day of March current, I was in Boston, down at Treat's Wharf, where my vessel was lying, and hearing the bells ring, supposed there was a fire in the town, whereupon I hastened up to the townhouse on the south side of it, where I saw an officer of the army lead out of the guardhouse there 7 or 8 soldiers of the army, and lead them down in seeming haste. Custom house on the north side of King Street, where I followed them. And when the officer had got there with the men, he bid them face about. I stood just below them on the left wing, and the said officer ordered his men to load, which they did accordingly with the utmost dispatch. Then they remained about 6 minutes with their firelocks rested and bayonets fixed, but not standing in exact order. I observed a considerable number of young lads, and here and there a man among them, about the middle of the street, facing the soldiers, but not within 10 or 12 feet distance from them. I observed some of them had sticks in their hands, laughing, shouting, huzzaing, and crying fire, but could not observe that any of them threw anything at the soldiers or threatened any of them. Then the said officer retired from before the soldiers, and stepping behind them towards the right wing, bid the soldiers fire. They not firing, he presently again bid them fire. They not yet firing, he stamped and said, "Fire, be the consequences what it will." Then the second man on the left wing fired off his gun. Then after a very short pause, they fired one after another as quick as possible. Beginning on the right wing, the last man's gun on the left wing flashed in the pan. Then he primed again. And the people being withdrawn from before the soldiers, most of them further down the street, he turned his gun toward them and fired upon them. Immediately after the principal firing, I saw 3 of the people fall down in the street. Presently after the last gun was fired off, the said officer who had commanded the soldiers as above to fire, sprung before them, waving his sword or stick, and said, "Ye rascals, what did you fire for?" and struck up the gun of one of the soldiers who was loading again, whereupon they seemed confounded and fired no more. I then went up behind them to the right wing, where one of the people was lying, to see whether he was dead, where there were 4 or 5 people about him, one of them saying he was dead. And I remember as the said officer was going down with the soldiers towards the custom house, a gentleman spoke to him and said, "Captain Preston, for God's sakes, keep your men in order, and mind what you are about." And further I say not.